Good morning to you all. I'm Larry Livingston, Chair of the HMA. I want to thank you all for joining us today and attending our webinar celebrating women in manufacturing industry in recognition of International Women's Day celebrated earlier this month. This event is being brought to you by our HMA Gears team, which I'm happy to quickly reintroduce to you before hearing from our panel speakers. There will be time for questions at the end, so please send them through the chat box, and we can also unmute at the end of this webinar for discussion. This is going to be a great roundtable of interactive discussion with a lot of great information. So let's get moving along. We're very grateful to have received support and funding from Huron County SLED, supporting local economic development and the Ontario Job Creation Partnership. With this support, we have created HMA Gears, the General Employee Attraction and Retention Strategy. HMA Facilitator and Gears Project Manager Susan Jarrett brought together the HMA Gears team of participants whose goal over the next 6 months is to continue to build and bring awareness to employers, this project and its great resources and support for all of our members. At this time, please allow me to introduce the HMA Gears team. The HMA and the Gears team are gearing up with the support for our manufacturers members at a time that we hope to provide much needed resources. Carly Clendenning, Recognition Project Assistant. Kevin Wilson, Website Assistant. Matt Gano, Media Marketing Project Assistant. Megan Corsani, our Toolbox Project Assistant. And new addition, Michelle Field, who is our Events and Job Fairs Project Assistant, who will join me in this webinar, prompting our panel speakers as we showcase their stories and experiences in the manufacturing trades.
Thanks, Larry. So excited to be here. So I had a lot of fun talking with people in advance of our event today, and I can't tell you how fun it's going to be. But before we get going, just to kind of revisit some housekeeping issues. Everybody is muted except our panel speakers, just to kind of keep noise down where we can. We've also got everybody, or are asking everybody, to be off camera just to help with bandwidth and again, try to minimize technical issues. The event is being recorded right now, so people need to be aware of that. And then we will circulate it in about a week's time out to everyone who was here today. And of course, it'll be on our website as well. And I think it'll be a really great tool for, even downstream to share with people, young youth, women, career changes who are maybe considering going into the manufacturing trade, but just have maybe a biased opinion or aren't really aware of all of the opportunities and that they can do it. So welcome everyone, and I'm going to give it back to you now, Larry.
Thanks, Michelle. At this point, I wish to introduce Laurin Padolina, along with her supervisor, Joel McLeod from Cleaver-Brooks. Laurin, I understand that up until a few years ago, was a performing artist in the theater world as an actress and singer, and now today is a third-year apprentice as a welder. Can you share with us, Laurin, how this career change happened, your experience in finding this career?
Hi, Larry. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. Just a general hello, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I just thank Larry Livingston. I'm reading off of my notes here, guys. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this webinar. Now, I know not everyone here is looking to become a welder, but if you are here, it's because, you've got that progressive mindset. You're looking to expand your skill set or maybe learn something new. You're a contributor, a special piece of the puzzle. So I want to personally congratulate you all for signing up and attending today's discussion. My name is Laurin Padolina. I am a keynote ambassador for Kick-Ass Careers and also on the Speakers Bureau for the Technical Training Group. and the Avon-Maitland School Board District. I was born and raised in Richmond, British Columbia. And when I was a child, all I ever wanted to be was a backup dancer for Janet Jackson. As life would have it, I wouldn't end up dancing for Janet, but it turned out I ended up having a fairly successful career in musical theater. I've had the privilege to perform in various venues throughout North America, the Stratford Festival, Drayton Theater, Mirvish Productions, La Jolla Playhouse in California. I was also a company member with the first US national tour of Matilda and was able to perform on the Tonys and on Broadway. But we're not really here to talk about that. I was actually asked to share a little bit about how I went from dancing on Broadway to being the welder that you see today. I'm very proud to tell you that I've been working hard the last 4 years. I started with a pre-apprenticeship and I am now a level 3 apprentice welder. So just a couple months ago, I started at this new shop, Cleaver-Brooks. And this is a place where we specialize in customized pressure vessels, boilers, and fully integrated systems that are shipped worldwide. And as part of the Cleaver-Brooks standard, I recently became an ASME certified welder. I'm currently a code 4 welder, and I hope to continue increasing my skill set to levels 9 and 10 someday. But making the jump from performance arts to pressure vessels wasn't always part of my plan. So I just thought I would share the 3 fundamentals on how I found my skill and made the jump into the blue collar trades with no experience. Notice how I used the word found and not chose. I didn't come into the blue collar trades thinking I'm gonna be a welder, but we're gonna touch base on that in a little bit. I want to preface this by noting that every person has an individual story, and every speaker here on the panel today has taken their own unique path of how they got to where they are. I'm happy to share these 3 fundamentals that help me find the skilled trades best suited to my abilities and interests. For starters, I started with research and self-discovery. I made a list of what I like, what I dislike, had to acknowledge my strengths and the areas that I needed improvement. Next, I would take action, and I signed up for a course to try something new. And lastly, staying adaptable, remaining open to possibility, looking for closed road signs and the green lights. So let's dive in with number 1, research and self-discovery. I'm a very visual person. I love lists, Post-its everywhere. So make your tables and make your lists. It made it really easy to help identify the things that I'm good at, what I like, the skills that I need to spend more time developing, the type of work environment I don't want to work in, the type of environment I do want to work in, and the types of jobs that would be best suited based on my interests and strengths and hobbies. I love climbing. I love being outdoors. So obviously coming to Cleaver-Brooks, I definitely had to make some adaptations. I do like it here, however, which brings us to fundamental number 2, take action. So when I have an interest, be it new or old, I love to research everything to no end. And let's be honest, we all spend a lot of time on our phones, myself included. So why not invest some of that time to look into your future? And not just a job, but a career that makes it easy to wake up in the morning to go to work. There's an awesome quote I saw, and I want to put it up on the screen for you. This is a quote from NASA astronaut Christina Koch, and she says, "Do the things that you think might be just outside of your reach, but they intrigue you and they call your name." So at first, when I started exploring the early stages of the skilled trades, for what I was looking for, I wanted to become a certified powerline technician. Now, I was surprised when I received a lot of feedback that tried to discourage me from getting into this trade. People would tell me it's really hard to get into the program, it's a really physical job, and that I probably wouldn't be able to get in unless I knew somebody at Hydro One. So the question is, how do you take action? Well, I do what everyone does. I just Googled powerline technician. I looked at job posts, I would jot down notes. I took notes about the basic requirements I would need in order to get into the program. And at the time, I needed Math 12. I didn't have it, so I signed up for a trades math upgrade and completed the course. Then I found out that Conestoga College offered a 2-year power line technician program. And can you guess what people said? I hit another group of naysayers saying it's super competitive to get into and the program averages about 600 applicants for a program that only has 40 seats. Good thing I'm extremely competitive. Anyone who knows me on a personal level knows that when I have a dream, I really do believe that I can earn it. I believe that if I work hard enough and persist through challenges, that I can realize my wildest dreams and make it happen. So I applied for the power line technician program and I didn't get in. And I was very disappointed. Which brings us to the third fundamental, be adaptable. I strongly believe that being adaptable and having a flexible and progressive mindset, learning how to navigate very uncomfortable circumstances is what can get us through the most challenging times. Now, on a global scale, the last 2 years of change, repeated lockdowns, people losing their jobs, family businesses being shut down, moms or dads having to give up their jobs to stay home and educate and care for their children. The good, the bad, the ugly, I cannot think of one person who hasn't been affected due to the pandemic. We have all had to pivot in some way to get by. So in this photo, the tree got so big that it eventually grew alongside the rock. And rather than staying small because the rock was in its way, it adapted to the environment. It grew its roots outside and around the rock. And this camel, it's got 2 humps that are used to store fat. And when the camel doesn't have access to food or water in the desert, it turns that fat into energy and water. So some of you may be wondering, Laurin, what do trees and rocks and camels have to do with skilled trades? As my 6-year-old would say, long story, Laurin, the tree and the camel have adapted to their environment. They didn't change who they are, but in order to thrive in their environment, they adapted. So when I didn't get into the Powerline program, it was like auditioning for a big Broadway show and not getting to be a part of it. I had to talk myself, just settle down a little bit. And at that moment, I made a promise to myself that was not going to be the end of my trades career. And at the time, I was working with a brilliant career coach and employer liaison named Kirsten. And this is a service provided by the Conestoga Career Center. I'm really thankful that we have a satellite location here in Stratford. And that was one of my green lights. This is where I saw a poster of the technical training group's pre-apprenticeship program offering an introduction to welding and fabricating with free tuition. At the time, I was working at a coffee shop in the mornings and a high-end wedding venue at night to pay the bills. Again, when I saw the words free tuition, I really couldn't find a reason not to pivot. Now, my ego was still a little bruised from not getting into that Powerline program. But when I saw this opportunity, this green light, I knew I had to be flexible. I had to be open-minded and make the best of the situation. So I signed up for the free program. Now, full disclosure, at the time, welding and fabricating was something I knew nothing about. And at the time, I had very little interest in welding at all. I just decided to get into the program and get experience in any trade and then go back and reapply to the Powerline program. To me, being adaptable is like having a superpower in your bag of tricks. It doesn't mean that you change who you are. It just means that you stay open-minded, open to opportunity, open to learning new skills personally and professionally. I don't know about you, but when I hit a closed road, I look for a detour sign and for what I call the green lights. Pro tip, I know that Liz Boletto from the technical training group is also speaking today. And one component of the application process for the pre-apprenticeship program is an in-person interview. That is where I first met business manager Sean Bontaine and office and program administrator Liz Boletto from TTG. I have to say that meeting Liz was one of those green light moments in my trades career. In my humble opinion, Liz is one of the program's biggest champions. She is deeply committed to expanding the trades labor force. She works tirelessly with all 3 apprenticeship programs, and along with coordinating the schedules for the apprenticeship programs, levels 1, 2, and 3, she also coordinates and runs Fun Tech Day camps and TTG's youth outreach programs within the southwestern region of Ontario. She's, I'm guessing, probably pretty uncomfortable with the spotlight on her right now, and I'm waiting for a love-hate text message anytime. I had to share this because I rarely get the chance to acknowledge Liz and her personal contribution to the trajectory of my career. And it's through Liz that I also had today's great opportunity to share my story and collaborate with Larry and Michelle at HMA Gears. So I'm just going to keep on rolling. Another component of the pre-app program is an 8-week work placement. And that is where I started welding with a smaller outfit at Vanis Custom Welding, where they provide welding and millwrighting services to the agricultural community of Southwestern Ontario. That work placement led to 2.5 years of my welding apprenticeship. Now, I know we're on a limited timeline for today, and we have a sensational lineup of speakers who have so much more to share with us. So in closing, what I want to get across is that these 3 fundamentals can be applied to other aspects in our life, well beyond the skilled trades. Do you want to be a business owner or the next biggest fashion designer, a farmer, a painter, a stay-at-home mom running a busy household? Whatever you choose to pursue, I genuinely hope it's something that really sets your heart on fire. At the end of the day, we all have our own path to take, and it's not uncommon to have a few different careers in your lifetime. These 3 little gems have helped guide me through some of the most challenging bumps and curves along the way. And I refer back to them when I feel overwhelmed and I'm looking for my true north. Self-discovery, taking action, and being adaptable. This has allowed me to follow my dreams and find careers that fill me with excitement and a feeling of accomplishment every day. I wish everyone here the best of luck in their future endeavors. I'm sending all of you my good energy and encouragement as you look ahead and assess the next steps for you. Again, a big thanks to the HMA organization for putting together this wonderful event. Now to the young people looking to their calling, the employment centers, our future workforce, and the dream seekers, I just have to say I am so privileged to be a part of this community with you. If you have any questions after the event or want to have a gab, I'm always up for a chat. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at I_am_the_real_Flashdance. I tried to put a few more underscores in there, but it couldn't fit in. And for more information on the pre-app and apprenticeship programs that I attended, check out www.technicaltraininggroup.org. Be bold, be wild, and be you. Thanks so much. Back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Laurin. That was great. You know, a lot of information there, but I think some really key information for people to make choices. I know fresh in the manufacturing, there is a whole world out there of options and things to do. And so it's cool that you're encouraging people to look at them, but how to kind of narrow it down so that it does fit you, even when you don't know what you want to do. When I first met Laurin and talked to her, one of the movies that flashed into my mind was Flashdance. And I think that could probably relate to most people we're going to talk to today. But and then she shares with me her Instagram handle, and there it is, Flashdance. So wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Laurin. So good morning, Joel.
Good morning. Found that mute button. How is everybody?
It's okay. You got a hard act to follow there from Laurin to you.
No kidding. Yeah, she did a great job. I've known Laurin for a couple of years now, and to hear her story like that was great. So great job, Laurin. That was really awesome.
Yeah, so I understand through conversation that you wear a few hats with Cleaver-Brooks, but also out perhaps with the training, the instructing of new apprentices. So I thought, could you share a little bit about that? What Cleaver-Brooks does? I know that you are just freshly back from a business trip. So, where are your other sites in the world, and just what's going on in manufacturing today and how it relates to women?
For sure. Yeah. So Laurin touched on it a little bit about Cleaver-Brooks. We are a packaged boiler room provider. So anything you would need in a boiler room, be it a deaerator, a storage tank, the boiler itself, any of the exhaust piping, any of the piping to begin with, the burner. We are a one-stop shop when it comes to boiler room solutions. Stratford itself has been around for a long time. The Stratford facility was first opened in 1952. So it's been an old business. We've been around in Stratford for a very long time. But Cleaver-Brooks itself is actually based out of Thomasville, Georgia. So talk about my business trip. My current job at Cleaver-Brooks is I am the corporate welding specialist. So what that means is I coordinate our welding development activities across several of our manufacturing locations. And our main manufacturing sites are located in Stratford, Ontario, Lincoln, Nebraska, Monroe, Wisconsin, Thomasville, Georgia, Mexico City, and I missed out on Terrebonne, Quebec City, I believe. But yeah, we're mainly located across North America. Very interesting business. I've been with the company 10 years, a few different positions in that time. But as the corporate welding specialist, I get to work every day with great individuals, be it welders, welding operators, welding engineers, and looking forward to improve our welding activities across our site. So, for example, working with Laurin here, Laurin just started with Cleaver-Brooks recently now, and being able to work with her, share my ideas with her, and hear feedback from her on how we think we can do different operations better, right? It's something that it's something I'm allowed to do on a day-to-day basis, right? What I want to touch on too is one of the things that I also do part-time is I'm also the welding instructor for Technical Training Group. So as a welding instructor for Technical Training Group, I teach a few different programs. I teach the Pre-Apprenticeship program, which is a multiple trade exposure program we do that introduces students to the metal fabricator, welding, and machining trades. And we do that program, which I'm sure Liz is going to touch on here shortly, in a few different areas. But I also teach a lot of the welding apprenticeship, mainly level 1 and level 3. But it's great to see a lot of new blood, I'll call it, getting into the welding trade and getting into the skilled trades, right? More so, what I'm seeing in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years, I'm actually starting to see more and more women getting involved in the skilled trades, which is great to see. For my example, my level 3 class, I actually have 4 women that are in my level 3 class now. That's the most we've ever had. And it's really great to see that women are starting to get involved in the skilled trades and seeing that there is a great opportunity in this trade. So a little bit about my background. I like to say that I took the long route when it came to getting into my trade. I started out out of high school, not really sure what I wanted to do. You know what? It ended up taking me getting into a co-op to figure out, all right, let's try this out, see how it goes. And you know what? I loved it. I actually was first employed at Accumetal Manufacturing on a co-op where they signed me as a welding apprentice. I finished that co-op and decided, you know what? I love this trade. I want to learn more. I want to do as much as I can with this trade. So from there, I attended Technical Training Group as a welding apprentice, completed my 3 years of apprenticeship, right? I actually graduated and got my red seal. And it was during that time that I actually started to look and do further. Wait, what can this trade take me? Where can I go with it? Can I learn more? And in fact, what I love about my trade is, yes, that is in truth the fact you can really take this trade in a lot of different ways if you want to pursue it even further. So what I did is I actually ended up from my red seal, I went and took a program at Conestoga College. There was a welding engineering technology program. That was a 3-year diploma program. I graduated. And then, you know what? I decided I'm even going to take more school. So I went back and I finished my engineering degree recently, in fact. And during that time, I really got a really good exposure to the welding trade. And during all this time, based on working in the trade and also the education I've had on this trade, I still love it. It's still, I'm definitely in the right trade, and there's still more I can take it. Yeah, hopefully that's a great background. I want to be really short and sweet. Yeah, it's been great talking to you guys. I think this is a great event. I hope we do more stuff like this.
That's great. Thanks, Joel.
All right. Thank you both, Joel and Laurin. Thank you for both sharing your stories. And Laurin, it sounds like you are a great ambassador for kick-ass careers. And you certainly sound like a great ambassador for TTG as well. Like yourself, we can't sing enough praises about Liz. Okay, from here, I'd like to move on to introducing Heather Brown. She's CFO from Accumetal Manufacturing Incorporated, along with 3 of their employees, Rochelle Scrimegour, Abby Zondervan, and Brooke Hogg.
Good morning, Heather.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. We have Heather and Brooke there together, but first we're going to hear from Heather. So Heather, can you share with us a little bit about Accumental? Specifically, how are you connecting and recruiting employees? Maybe some of the costs associated with apprenticeships. And are you seeing a shift in women joining the trades? And then any observations that you can kind of share?
Sure. Well, it's no secret to anybody around these days that traditional methods of recruiting are just not sufficient to attract the quality or the sheer quantity of people that we're looking to fill all of the open positions that we have. We just have to broaden the scope a little wider and look outside what has been, I wrote traditional and I crossed it out, and then I wrote stereotypical candidates that manufacturing companies are trying to hire. So women, among other demographic groups, are very underrepresented in our facilities, but I feel that women have so much more to add to the changing dynamic of the manufacturing culture. Inside our facility, in my opinion, should look like the community that we all live in, with the same proportion of characteristic groups, ages, races, cultures, and certainly gender. So our community is basically 50-50 male to female, but the demographics of our employees are certainly not. They're getting better, but it's not 50-50 yet. I think some of the young ladies on our panel today will agree. It's my opinion that a woman's fine motor skills are much superior to a man's anyways. So I would argue that this makes women much better suited to welding in the first place. Some of the most successful connections that we've been making with new employees have been made through the work placements of the ministry-funded pre-apprenticeship training programs through the TTG. The technical training group is extremely helpful in introducing us to entry-level workers in these skilled trades positions. Programs like the multi-trade pre-apprenticeship program, the welding pathways program, provides the foundational manufacturing trades training to students in welding and machining, and then the trainees come to us for an 8-week paid work placement, and here they continue to learn skills alongside our seasoned tradespeople. Our hope, of course, is at the end of their placement, they really like us and we really like them, and permanent employment will ensue, and Accumetal will sponsor their apprenticeship in either welding or a general machinist apprenticeship. Welders and the metal fab apprentices have the added advantage here that they can attend school locally. They don't have to travel outside of their home area. This allows them to continue to work full-time and attend school, which is very helpful in a lot of their circumstances. You talk about cost. There's also financial advantages for both the sponsor and the apprentices throughout the program. Employers can receive wage subsidies for the placements through the programs. Sometimes there's signing bonuses that are available through for newly sponsored apprentices, and both sides of the relationship are eligible for $1,000 with every level that the apprentice completes, and then another one at the end if they are successful with their Red Seal exam. So it really is a win-win for both the apprentice and the employer sponsor. So we've been most successful with new employees that come from these types of programs, I would say.
Certainly sounds like a really good partnership that goes on between Accumetal and TTG.
Yeah, very much so.
And almost historical, I would think. I don't know, but kind of learning as I go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Brooke, I know you're there, but we're gonna go away for a little bit, and we're gonna talk to Rachel, and we're gonna come back to you. I thought about throwing you on, but I won't do that. I'll follow the agenda.
Okay.
So Rachel, good morning.
Hello, 1 second.
There you are.
Okay, hi.
Hi. So if I understand right, you are very new to the trades,
Yes.
and putting you on the hot spot here. What your role is right now with Accumetal, when you were first when did you first become interested in the trade? How did you get here? What was that journey? What did it look like?
Yeah, okay. So my current role right now, I'm pre-apprentice. I'm in my 3rd week of my 8-week placement. Right now I'm just working on improving my skills. I'm working on some ladders and some panels for control boxes. I first was introduced to the trades when I was in grade 9 in high school. I took the Exploring Technologies course. I did some welding, some machining, a little bit of that. And I really liked welding, actually. My teacher said that they needed more female welders, but there was only me and one other girl in this class. And so it was very discouraging, I guess, to want to pursue that. And yeah, so then throughout high school, I really wanted to go into healthcare. And then I realized that I did not want to go to school and all the expenses that came along with it. So at the end of high school, I was kind of at a loss. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My mom was kind of pushing me. She was like, oh, the trades. And I'm like, yeah, I did like it. I did actually go to Fanshawe for electrical techniques, but I did not like that. So I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. But I thought back in high school when I did some welding and I did like it. I worked at Format as a seasonal summer student after high school. And that was okay. I kind of got a little more experience in like the welding area, and I was like, oh, I want to do that, I think. So I came across the TTG website. I applied. I got to talk with Liz and I got in so far. Yeah, I love it, actually. I love Accumental. Heather has been great. Everyone here has been really nice. Yeah.
So what happens, Rachel, after your 8 weeks? Do you go back to the classroom? Do you go to a new employer?
I'm hoping to stay here.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully be signed and I can continue my schooling here in Stratford with TTG for my level 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Where are you, Abby? You're next. So Abby, you are in your first year of a pre-apprenticeship with the TTG program. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Got to get it right. Got to get the wording right. So same as Rachel, can you share with us your story, how you got here? Why did you choose welding? Did you go to school for something else prior to coming into the trades? And maybe how, in your opinion, can the schools and employers maybe level the playing field for young women or older women interested in the trade?
Sure. So when I first graduated high school, the only thing that I liked at the time was fitness. So I went to college for personal training. I did about a year and 3 weeks, then decided that I really wanted to do welding instead. I had really enjoyed welding at Dynamig in Stratford and enjoyed the shop life during the summers that I worked. So I started looking for welding schools after I dropped out of my program. So when I was looking for welding schools, I found the TTG website and gave them a call. Liz said that the pre-apprenticeship program would be a great place to start. So I applied, got in, then after I completed the pre-apprenticeship, they helped me find a placement. I did 8 weeks at a placement just outside of Sebringville, but the business was struggling, so I had to switch. So I was then connected with Heather at Accumetal, then started a new placement for 8 weeks, then was hired, and I've been at Accumetal for almost a year now. I'm also almost 1 year into my apprenticeship. My experience at Accumetal so far has been amazing. I've learned so much already. Feels like I've been here like 3 months of almost a year now, so it's crazy. I also learned to TIG weld here, and I've been doing some MIG welding as well. And yeah, I'm just really happy. And then just touch on like what employers and stuff can do to help encourage women in the trades. I would just say like employers and teachers maybe just being a little more encouraging to the females in the class, like maybe like introducing me like, oh, like welding, like women are actually really good at welding. Like Heather said that they have a very good attention to detail, and that's really true. And it helps in this trade. But yeah, just being like, just normalizing it, I guess, like not making it so like, oh, it's like male dominant. Like, let's try and be like, it's like welding. Anybody can weld. Like if you would like to do a trade, like anybody can learn anything. So if you really want to learn something.
Yeah, I kind of remember that in high school where you kind of only really learn about the traditional careers, like, and they are kind of man-female role. And I know when I got out into the working world, and even still to today, right, I learn about new things, trades, and I think, man, why didn't we learn about this? It's almost like you need a class on all the possibilities that you could actually have.
Exactly.
So thanks for sharing, Abigail. That was great.
No problem.
And we're back to you, Brooke.
Hello.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi.
You have a little bit of a different kind of entrance, I think, to Accumetal.
I did.
Than we've heard about. So This is great. We're going to hear something new. But I also know as a full-time welder, you're a full-time welder, you're a wife, you're a mom of 2 children.
Yes.
You work afternoons, your husband works days.
Yeah.
You pull it all together.
Somehow.
We want to hear about this. How did you get to the manufacturing trade, and specifically your training, right? Because that was very different.
Yeah, so kind of like Abby, actually. I went to St. Lawrence College in Kingston for personal training because I was very interested in fitness and health, still am. My husband was in the military at the time, and then he voluntarily released. We came back to Stratford from Kingston, and he was having a really hard time transitioning from military life to civilian life. We were both kind of not sure what path we wanted to be on. I have been interested in welding since about grade 7. So I heard an ad for North American Trade School on the radio in my vehicle. And I just thought, hey, what do we have to lose at this point? So we took a tour, we signed some papers, and basically that day we got signed up and got on the path to welding. And that is a diploma program through them. And you get a bunch of CWB tickets or qualifications, your opposition stick, flat MIG, flat flux core. You have the opportunity to learn TIG as well as 6G pipe. It's a structural and pressure vessel welding course. So it's a little different than manufacturing and doing like 3mm welds versus really hot, heavy 6 to 9mm welds. But yeah, it was a good program. It was a little pricey. I'm understanding the different routes that I could have taken now. And I think that had I known what I know now, we would have probably taken the TTG route because I was very ignorant going into welding. I knew that I had liked it. I knew that it was something that I was interested in, that I could perfect and get good at, but I was very ignorant. I was like, oh, let's just stick some metal together. This is gonna be cool. Women in the trades. I didn't really know how hard it would be, really. Just juggling everything, and like with how physically demanding it is and hot and dirty. But no, it's great. So that's how, yeah. So I would have probably taken the TTG route. Our course was about, I think it's $18,000 or $19,500 for the course that we took. And my husband and I both took it. So that's a decent amount of debt that we took on really quickly. But we're both really happy in the trade. And we are looking always for ways to like progress and to move forward and to learn more and to just get better at our craft.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And Larry, that wraps Accumetal for now.
Thank you very much, ladies. That's quite thought provoking all the way around. It's a tough struggle, you know, trying to find the right course to go through. With Heather, your organization's not much different to CAP Products, although we don't have a lot of tradespeople other than myself here and another fella. But with ladies, 50% of our workforce here are skilled ladies. And like has been said, you know, the dexterity, the, you know, attention to detail generally exceeds their male counterparts. So at any rate, thank you all. And from here, I'll introduce Compass Minerals. First on our dockets, Aileen Pajunen, and she's a HR manager for Compass Minerals. And we also have Ashley Hunt, mining technician from Compass Minerals.
Good morning, Aileen.
Good morning. Found the mute button.
Yeah. Gets us every time. You would think after 2 years we'd figure it out, but we won't. We'll keep going.
First, thank you so much for asking us to participate in this. The presentations before us have been absolutely impressive.
Wonderful.
And I've been in HR for a long time, and it's just so wonderful to see these fine young women, you know, pursuing these amazing careers in the trades. I have another impressive participant, Ashley, with me, and I can't wait for her to share her story. Yeah, when I read it, I was absolutely impressed, so I'm sure you will be. As I said, I'm Aileen. I have been with Compass Minerals now for 14 months. It's a great place. 22 years I've been doing this, always in mining, except for 3 years in the forestry sector. So to say I've spent my career in an underrepresented field, absolutely. I think for most of my career, I've been often the only female manager or senior level person at the table. So it's been an interesting career. At Compass Minerals, specifically, we have 511 employees. Only 6.26% of that is our females. That, in my history, is actually very low. My last mining company, we often exceeded 15% of our employee population being females. We have 10 women that work in the underground, which is fantastic. And we'd love to see more. And that's only actually happened within the last 2 years. So the mine's been here almost 63. So for all of that time, you know, there wasn't representation of females in the underground, which I'm really glad to see that is changing. We have some fantastic careers that, you know, we have operators, laborers, truck drivers, equipment operators, electrical trades, mobile maintenance, millwrights. You know, we do have all the trades. Unfortunately, we do not currently have an apprentice program. I would love to see us, but I'm very happy to say we do have one female that is pursuing her career in the electrical trade, and we are going to help her. Hopefully we'll get a formal program. Hopefully we would be able to get a formal program. When I look at my career, and I've actually worked in Canada, the US, and Australia, one thing that I've noticed is just how mining has progressed. So, you know, it's automated, it's very mechanized. And what we have to do is explain that to, you know, the females that are, you know, out there, that they can do it. It's not what people perceive. It's not dark, it's not dirty, it's not heavy, it's not hard work. You know, when Ashley came on screen, everyone was like, oh, are you underground? Look at her, she's beautiful. And yes, she's working in the underground. You know, it's a city down there. And I think we need to do a better job breaking that because there is that preconceived idea of what we are, of what other mines are, and even in the forestry sector. Listening to, I forget who mentioned it, but I used to have a female operator. She used to load lumber onto a truck, and the truck drivers would actually schedule their pickup load because Debbie was so good at operating the equipment. They would say they could leave their coffee cup on the dash when she was loading the truck with lumber and it wouldn't spill. So that dexterity, that how the equipment is treated is just really different. So the one thing, if I have to say, we need to do a better job, you know, really promoting the careers, but again, breaking down those preconceived ideas, especially in our sector. And with that, I'll let Ashley talk about what she does.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Like Aileen said, my name is Ashley Hunt. I'm a mine technician here at Compass Minerals. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I keep getting a pop-up saying my internet is unstable. So hopefully this comes through pretty clearly. I've been at Compass for 2.5 years now, and I mainly work underground. My schooling background is I did a 2-year mine technician program up in Labrador, Newfoundland and Labrador. So it's a northern community that does a lot of iron ore mining. So I was living up there, and everyone just kind of is in the mining world or supports the mining world to some extent. So I thought, why not? Everyone's doing it, and you can't live in Newfoundland and not see a women in trades commercial pop up, you know, for whatever you're watching. So it's always kind of, you know, coming at you that it's a viable industry for women. And so I went for it. I did my 2-year program. I started working in an open pit iron ore mine and hated it. So I was on shift work. I was an operator, and it just wasn't for me. So I just kind of packed up everything and I left that behind. I went into the fitness industry, started my own health food company up in Labrador, and I loved it. Never really thought about the mining industry for quite a few years, started a family. Fast forward about 12, 13 years, and we moved to Goderich, Ontario. I had never heard about this place, but we gave it a shot, and me and my family moved here. I didn't really know where I wanted to go from here. I was enjoying the break of not working, you know, owning your own business is a 24-hour job. So I was kind of enjoying the break, just spending a lot of time with my kids. And one day I got a call from a friend asking if I would help out the procurement department here at Compass Minerals. So it was a 4 to 6 week contract. I said, sure, short and sweet, I'll be in and out. 6 months later, I'm still in the procurement department and a job comes up as a mine technician. So I knew it wasn't quite exactly what I did in my program, because I did more of a trades oriented, it was a millwright certificate along with other things. I did welding. I kind of touched on a lot of different trades in my program. And what they were offering here was a more engineering mine technician program. So a lot of ventilation and surveying and just quite frankly, things I had never done or didn't really know much about. But I reached out, I asked for some information. I knew some people in the departments, so I felt comfortable asking those questions and seeing, if my skills were transferable. I was very upfront and honest in saying, I've never done this or this, but I have done this, and I'm willing to take it all on and learn, different programs that we use here, such as AutoCAD and, our ventilation system, a lot of different equipment that I had never used, but showed interest. And anyway, long story short, I got the job. So I've been in my role here now as a mine technician. It'll be 2 years in April. And I have learned so much in that short span of time. I just want to kind of stress that it's not to be confident every day in where you want to go or what you want to do. I had to take it day by day. There was many nights in the beginning where I just didn't think I could go in the next day because I felt like I didn't know everything that I wanted to know. And it was scary. And I'm really glad I didn't listen to that kind of inner voice saying, you can't do this. There's no other women here doing this. I just would eventually fall asleep and I would get up the next day and I walked in and I would take it one day at a time. And I am so glad now that I didn't quit and I stuck with it. And, it's been super fulfilling to me to not only, break the biases of women in trades, but also kind of be here and a voice, and hope to, initiate future females in trades and just non-traditional roles that, you can do it. It's not always easy. It's a little scary sometimes, but it's definitely worth it in the end. And it's not the end for me. I want to learn a lot more. There's my job, it's always kind of changing. Every day is kind of different. And with technology, we use drones, we use 3D scanners. So technology is always going to change. So I know my role is always going to evolve. And I just love that I'll never stop learning in this field. And I just want to reiterate, a lot of the women who have shared their stories, I see similarities, and I think kind of there's this underlying, agreement that, if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen. Find a way, reach out. There's a lot of support that, you just kind of have to find. And there's a lot of support systems that I've learned about here today and that I've been through. And, I think that it's worth it, to kind of put yourself out there, as scary as it may be sometimes. And, everyone here is networking, just being on this call. So, I just want to congratulate everyone for even taking, if that was a step, that you weren't sure of doing, that it's little steps that will get you to where you want to be eventually. Anyway, for time's sake, I'm not sure if we're nearing the end, but thank you for having me, everyone.
That was great, Ashley. I would think the same, that the underline of everybody here, on the call is, if you're passionate and it's something you want to do, like do it, like figure it out, but do it. And sounds like coming to Goddard's was to get you back there. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that it's working out for you. Aileen, thank you too for your conversation. That was really good. I agree with you. We have to work hard at making it more of a neutral ground out there.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Thank you both, ladies. It's nice that we're able to share all this. From here, from Helm Welding, I'd like to introduce Cassandra Massena. She's a full-time welder there. And Brittany Harrison, who is current TTG pre-apprentice.
Good morning, ladies. I know you're together. So back to Cassandra and Brittany, and who wants to talk first?
I'll go first.
So Brittany's new.
Yeah, I'm new. I started about 6 weeks ago. I did TTG's pre-apprenticeship program in Listowel, and I really enjoyed it. I found that the instructors were really great, and Liz is just amazing. So you can't get much better than her. I've been at Helm for 6 weeks now. I weld and fabricate on our TMR mixers, which is farm equipment, and I've been learning lots.
And did you always know you wanted to do this and you followed your dream, or did you have some bumps along the way? Or
Yeah, I definitely had some bumps. I did a tech rotation in high school, and was both times I did it, I was the only female in my class. I then did a co-op. I did one at Crema in Stratford, which I really enjoyed, and it was definitely something I wanted to continue. I then had another placement where things didn't go as great, and I definitely was discouraged in the like quote unquote a man's world. I took some time back, and then probably about 6 years now, and then I was like, I'm now at a point where I was ready to do it and felt strong enough to do it, so I did.
good for you. Yeah. And it helps when you have some people behind you too, right? When you find the right connections and
Yeah, and
carry on.
sometimes you just have to just jump in and do it.
Good for you. So Cassandra, you've been with Helm Welding for quite some time, I understand. You are a welder and perhaps did not do an apprenticeship or any formal training. Do I have that right?
Correct. Yeah. I actually started back in 2007 as a co-op student. It was just a whim that it's like, all right, sure, I'll try welding. I've always been a little artistic, and a little more manlier, I guess. So I'm like, well, I guess this follows suit with me. So I really enjoyed it, and I took a bit of a brief leave. I've had 4 children. And now I'm back there full time, and everything just came right back to me, and absolutely love it. Welding is definitely an art that not a lot of many people can master, but like I heard somebody saying that females are kind of, don't mean to toot our own horn, a little bit better in the field because our fine motor skills are a lot better. We're definitely a keen eye for
Right.
detail. So yeah, it's been awesome working with Britt for the short little bit.
And what kind of products are made there at where you work? What do you make?
So Brittany mentioned that we make TMR mixers. We also have a snowblower line, which is what actually kind of started Helm Welding. Art Helm founded it in 1960 out of his garage. Short time later, in the 70s, he added more agricultural products. Our mixer wagons and grain buggies. They don't do so many bale choppers anymore. We then started into a vertical line. So we have horizontal bins that are obviously made horizontally, and then we have our vertical bins. And then we rebranded in 2015. refined some things, and then we came out with a friendly approach to poultry mortality, and those are our green machines, and they work at mixing up obviously poultry, and it gets it heated up and composts it. And yeah, so that's been over 50 years now of the Lucknow products.
Very neat. Well, thank you to you both for sharing. I'm sure there will be more questions, but we'll keep you to the end so we can just get, through. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. Helm Welding, I know well, growing up in the area. If you weren't running a successful farm if you didn't have one of your snow blowers in your yard, plain and simple. It's what got you moving in the wintertime. And I did attend your 50-year bash back at Lucknow, and had the opportunity to speak with all the folks back there. And thanks again, ladies. Next on our docket, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Cavel Fraser, who is the Executive Director for Technical Training Group. First, I want to thank you for TTG's partnership in this webinar and the ongoing support of HMA and their membership. There's been a lot of valuable information shared among our panelists about TTG and the training opportunities. Is there anything in particular that may have been missed that you would like to share? Any upcoming training opportunities to know about? And of course, any additional opportunities for those seeking apprenticeships options that you can share with us at this time?
Yes, thank you. I am Cavel Fraser from the Technical Training Group. Excuse me. It's been incredible to hear about the journey of these amazing women who are working in the manufacturing sector and skilled trades. And we at TTG are thrilled to see so many of our pre-apprentices and apprentices who've been part of this panel. We're also incredibly fortunate to have so many great employers offering these types of employment opportunities, which allow people to stay right here in our communities and pursue great careers. I've personally been involved with TTG for more than 12 years now, and it's been exciting to see more and more women pursuing careers in the skilled trades. And we've seen this being reflected in our training programs. As Joel mentioned to you, he's got 4 women in the level 3 program, which is fantastic. And in our latest Pathways program that just started in Listowel yesterday, actually, we have 4 of the 10 participants that are young women. For people who want to start pursuing these types of careers in the skilled trades and manufacturing, TTG is pleased to announce that we'll be offering 3 tuition-free, ministry-funded pre-apprenticeship programs again this year in Stratford, Clinton, and in Listowel in welding, metal fabrication, and machining. And for people who are interested in other trades, there are also wonderful pre-apprenticeship programs out there through Conestoga College and Fanshawe College. Michelle will be sending information out to you about our programs along with her follow-up packages. And again, we just like to say congratulations to all of the incredible women on the panel and wish them every success. And Laurin, thank you for the shout out to Liz. She truly is amazing from the time that she starts setting up interviews right through to graduation. She's so hands-on and inspiring to everyone who comes through TTG. And all of you met Joel today, who is one of our absolutely wonderful instructors. So we've got a great lineup at TTG. And lastly, just thank you to the Here Manufacturing Association for inviting TTG to be part of this great event. Thanks so much.
Oh, that's great, Cavel. Thank you so much for sharing those words. Yeah, so just to kind of tie on to that conversation, anybody who has information that they'd like to share out, even if you're an attendee and weren't speaking today, and you have information about maybe a training or apprenticeship or some jobs, or did you know, please share it with me, and I'm happy to include it with the package that we will send out with the video. And I think that's it for me, Larry. I'll turn it back to you for Q&A.
Okay, I'm unmuted, so we're good. Thank you, Cavel. It's very delightful to have TTG on board with the HMA. It's been a great partnership. We always enjoy and relish Liz's perspectives on our board. We're a hands-on board. The woman's touch is always appreciated. Liz is in a unique position to give us that perspective as she struggles to get the females involved and my daughter happens to be one of them. I've been trying to get her involved with TTG for a couple of years now, and well, she's taken another career change. But at any rate, I thank you all. 75 to 80 years ago, women of all sorts flocked to industry to support their households and local economies and the war effort, only to return to their so-called traditional roles after the war. In recent years, there's been sort of a shift, and it's been mainly in the last 20 years or so, that women have been challenging that perception and the boundaries of those so-called traditional jobs. Many women, they've struggled through various challenges, adversities, and stigmas, trying to be taken seriously and attaining the skills and trades relative to the job market and their feeling of self-worth and job life balance. And I know firsthand of those challenges after trying to find a willing employer to take my eldest daughter on as a carpenter's apprentice. And that was only 12 years ago. Those employers that have taken the plunge have taken that chance and employed these ladies, have not looked back nor regretted employing these modern trailblazers to enhance your company's labor force. My hat is off to you all. Thank you very much. We're too soon old, too late wise. Thank you again. And I'll open the floor to any questions that are available.
But truly, what is it like to walk out to the floor as a woman into a man's sort of kingdom? What does that feel like?
I love this question. What does it feel like? Honestly, it feels like walking into a grocery store without a mask. It feels intimidating. I feel very empowered. I feel like I'm standing in my power and I'm holding my own. I'm not against. It's not this, it's this. And if I can just say, I have to acknowledge, 99% of the males that I have met in the blue collar trades who are like, you need a hand with that? Like I'm trying to lift something because I'm so stubborn because I'm like, I got it. For the record, I'm like barely 5'1" and like pushing 110. But I'm like, in my mind, I am like the strength of a 300-pound Viking. So for me, I feel embraced by this community. And I know that there are a lot of fears going into it, the same fears that I had coming into the trades. And I also try to remind myself that, when I do encounter, someone with a kind of like a very fixed mindset who feels uncomfortable with a woman in the trades, in my mind, I'm like, I've worked in the theater where I don't always see eye to eye with another woman. And this is a very natural thing that we're going to encounter in the real world. And so I cannot allow that one person to represent all of the men in the blue collar trades, because that would be totally unfair. And it would be unfair to all of any trades person, man or woman, who has helped me along the way and been encouraging me to follow what my gut is telling me where it's going to go. And I would just like to use one example. At my last employer at Vanis Custom Welding, after I was hired, my employer told me that they did have reservations about hiring a woman because they never had one on board before. And that was in 2018. And then fast forward to 2021, where 75% of his workforce was female. And last year, I would also like to announce that the company had its biggest return. So there's something to be said about, assimilating into this male-dominated culture and saying, hey, we're not big, we're not bad, we're not scary, we're not up in here like in your face making demands. We're just like, there's a bunch of tomboys out here who are waiting to like roll our sleeves up and pitch in. And if you want good help, like, hey, we're out here.
Love it. Love it. Perfect. Anyone else got anything to add on to that?
If I could, there's a question I did put in the chat box, which is all the excuse me, of all the hurdles that you anticipated, which ones did you find harder than expected, and which hurdles ended up being easier than you expected?
So actually, when I dropped out of my program and I started looking for welding schools, I had a lot of problems like trying to figure out how to even get into the trade. Like looking online, like they're like, oh, you need to get a sponsor. And I'm like, how do you get a sponsor? Like, how am I gonna get into a shop if I have like zero experience? Like I had like a little bit of MIG from a factory, but that's not really considered like actual welding. It's just like cosmetic, which yeah. But anyways, but when I found TTG and then the pre-apprenticeship, that made things like a billion times easier. Like if I took that other route, it would have been really challenging and a lot longer for me.
I also have a question. I want to first thank each and every one of you who have shared your journey with us today. Laurin, if you were originally interested in welding, it wasn't surprising for me because welding is really artistic and very nice, as some of you have mentioned. But I'm interested to learn, why did you want to change career despite doing what you'd love to do from childhood? What made you think about this change in the first place?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. It was really born out of necessity. My daughter's 6 years old, so before she turned 2, me and my husband split. We went through a separation, and it was really born out of necessity to find a career that I loved as much as the arts, that would provide us financial stability. You know, because in theater we go contract to contract. And I'm like, okay, the end of my contract is up at this, you know, at the end of this week. Like, how am I going to feed this kid? How am I going to buy diapers? Like, I got to get a real job. So that was already in the works. And it was just kind of just really got the fire beneath my boots and got me going to make the change.
I also have one more question, if you don't mind, Michelle, if we have time. So manufacturing work environment is generally thought of as, you know, as if it's not so much in alignment with the nature of women, because it's considered to be tough, the kind of work environment. Could any of you women ladies speak to this point, and if the environment of manufacturing industry is actually changing?
In my role specifically, you know, a lot of the equipment is geared for, you know, someone who is taller, maybe stronger. However, our company has worked with me to, you know, purchase things that will make it viable for me to do the same job, whether it be, you know, a sturdy stepping stool so that I can get up to see properly and make the work just as safe. You know, modifying equipment for me so that I may perform the same job. It helps that I've had such, you know, great people surrounding me and who have, you know, helped me to achieve my goals. So I think that's, you know, probably one of the biggest things, is to have a really good support system around you and not be afraid to say, you know, hey, I might need this to do the same job. Physically, you know, we're not all built the same. And sometimes it's just kind of finding that inner voice to say, it might be easier if I had this tool or this piece of equipment, and you might need to modify something. And you kind of find that out as you go, and you say, oh, this might be easier if I had something tailored to me. So that's been my experience, is that, you know, we don't always have to fit the mold. There are things that are out there that will help us to do the same job if we're not physically all built the same. So that's just been my personal experience.
Does anybody else have anything to add on to that before we make it a wrap? I mean, I'm sure we could talk all day, but
I could definitely.
Show must go on.
Yeah, like I could definitely relate to what Ashley was saying. Exactly. Cleaver-Brooks has been so accommodating. There's stools, there's ladders. They're like, oh, she's the half pint Kate. We're going to get her smaller coveralls that fit. And I love, Larry, that you brought into the conversation about the history of women in steel. It was just last night, I was just wanted to revisit my facts. Like 1943, that World War II broke out, there were 6 million women that stepped into those manufacturing positions, and they were shipping dock like loaders. They were welders. They were doing running cranes and forklifts. Like, this isn't new. This has been established for 80 years, and now we're having this big push, and you know, it's coming back, just like bell-bottom jeans, like, you know, and we're here to stay, right? Like, this is not old. This is not new to me, anyways. I feel very proud to step into something that has been paved for me, you know, for decades previous, right? So it's really important that we acknowledge how tough these women are, who were holding down the fort with their babies, with their husbands away, and working in really arduous conditions, long days at home, sleepless nights. You know, women are tough to begin with, and so are the men. I think it's just exactly what you say, break the bias both ways, right?
Yes, yes. You ladies may not be the pioneers. We have to leave that to our grandparents. Yeah, our grandparents for my generation, but you are most definitely trailblazers, nonetheless. And it's a tough marketplace out there. You have biases that you have to contend with. You have innuendos. You know, we've all seen it over the years. And my thought on the matter is, if you have the desire and you have the skills, step forth. Go for it. There's no reason that you can't. Only yourself.
I have something to add, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I think just like you have to learn to speak up for yourself. And if you need something, you need to ask for it, or maybe in some circumstances more demand it. You also set the standard for how you're going to be treated by not only women but men as well. And you have to ask, you have to stand up for yourself.
Which is kind of good to be doing right across the board, right? I think we generally need to do that better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think over time, especially as women, you are made to feel small in a lot of life. So just, you have to stand up for yourself and ask when you need things. And there is certain like small spaces women fit in more usually than men. So I guess there would be disadvantages on both ends, but you definitely just, if you ask for it, you usually can get pretty far by just speaking up.
I always say, you don't know unless you ask. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy by thinking in our own head that it can't happen and all the reasons why it can't, when we just need to ask. So I too would like to thank everyone for a great hour and more. I think it's a really good conversation. I think it has room to grow, maybe even next year, hopefully in person or something like that, where we can showcase what's happening in you know, all of the counties surrounding us. So I just, not to discount or kind of like, okay, on to the next thing, but I did, before we close out, just wanted to share a few things that are coming up with HMA that are kind of, I think, really exciting. First is we have 3 job fairs that are being held in different parts of Huron County. So the first being Central Huron in Clinton at the Libra Hall, which will be on April 12th from 12 to 6. No charge to employers or employees to attend. We are looking to zone in on manufacturing for this. And even if you are outside of Huron County or you are not a member of HMA, you are more than welcome to attend. And then we have the North Huron, May 17th, and in Wingham. And I do want to point out that at that event, if you have ever been to the Knights of Columbus Hall, you will know that their food is absolutely exceptional. It's homemade. And Susan will be making homemade things for us that day, and lunch/dinner will be available all day for that site. And then South Huron in Exeter at the Legion on June 8th. So if you know anyone, or you're interested in attending, or you're an employer, or you're a trade person, or you're a school, we want to have you there. And then coming down the pipe, more as a save the date, is our AGM, which is happening also in Central Huron, just to kind of make it the center of the county. And that's happening on May 26th. It will be at the Reach Huron Center in Clinton. And I want to tell you a little secret. It's not gonna be, well, it is gonna be a meeting with all the things that you have to do for an AGM. But the really cool part about it is, after the meeting, we're going to be showcasing food and beverage in the manufacturing sector. So that might look a little like wineries and breweries and cheese and chocolate and so many good things that you don't want to miss out on. An opportunity to meet our current board of directors. If you're not a member, or you know of someone that should be a member, this is a great time to come out and meet people and learn more about the HMA. And one very important last thing to share, that Laurin, who you met here today, she's also a member of a band called the Iron Duke, and they are all made up of manufacturing people, the band, and I believe they are going to come out and do live music for us that night. So really cool event, really cool concept, all coming together. Don't miss out, May 26th. That's all I got.
Great, thank you, Michelle. And on that note, thank you all very much. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day to attend this event. And we look forward to seeing you at either the job fairs or our AGM. Thank you again. Have a great day.